When I was about 55, I read a book called Hell, West and Crooked about a bloke who came back from World War II and went up to the Northern Territory and became a crocodile hunter. And he had great adventures. He's an Australian bloke, he's a good author, he writes a good story. He's not world famous, but it's still a good insight into what was happening in the Northern Territory back in, say, 1954-ish, 1950s. He ended up going to New Guinea, but that's another story. I thought to myself then, my life's a bit boring. And I thought, why did my dad come back and go and settle down up in Gippsland when he returned from World War II? Why didn't he go to New Guinea and go crocodile shooting, which when I thought about it was quite obvious. He wanted to settle down, he had a family, he wanted to start a family, he had his brothers and his mum and his dad, and they didn't have much at the time, and he came back and bought a farm and they all settled around there until they went off in different ways, and his mum and dad died unfortunately, and that's why I am who I am and where I am. But anyway, when I was about 50, I started to think to myself, is there any adventures left in the world? Because I'm a great one in believing that you can do things now, no matter how many times you tell yourself, I can't do that, and I can't do this because of this and because of that. If you tell yourself, you build fences around yourself, your own fences, which stop you achieving what you want to achieve. I'm telling myself there's no adventures left. No, I don't want to go and sell every asset I've got. I'd go and travel the world working on oil rigs and things. I'm too old for a start off. I don't want to go into the Amazon jungle, you know, that was just a bit crazy. But I thought there must be some adventures left in the world. And I thought about it for a long time. And at this particular stage of my life, 2021, in the middle of COVID, I was sitting in Thailand, sitting over here in Thailand, in my little room here. I've made arrangements to stay here for 12 months. I've got a 12-month visa with my new family, and just the new family thing is an adventure. I'm in a foreign country, that's an adventure. I'm in a different culture, a culture that's the very same to what I grew up as a child in Australia. A culture of inclusiveness and concern for each other. I'm in that culture. And it's taken a long time to get here, gradually, but I'm here now and I'm loving it. I'm in the process of starting to build a new house. I bought some land out the road, very small house, that's okay. I'll come back to an adventure that I realised that I did have, and that was when I panicked. I was in Thailand and COVID came, and I did a panic evacuation with my mate back to Australia because we were being told the world was going to end as we know it. I didn't believe it because I can't see what they're telling us, what they were telling us way back then. I could not see the evidence for it. Now this is 12 months down the track. I still can't see the evidence for the fear and the panic. And I think some people are starting to wake up that the evidence for the fear and the panic was not there. So now we've invented a new COVID, another strain, and that develops new fear and panic. Anyway, that's a conspiracy theory or something like that. That's got not a lot to do with it. Just a bit of a background as to why I went out of Thailand a year ago. What I've done since then has been fantastic. For 1 year, I lived in an off-grid cabin in Tasmania, in the bush, on my own. And I spent a year living in that hut in the bush. And you know what? Absolutely loved it. I just loved it. And like, you can go and stay somewhere for 3 or 4 weeks and say, yeah, this is good, I'm roughing it, hurrah, hurrah, this is lovely. But that's not living in it for a year. But that's what I did up in the bush. I lived in it for a year. Lived in it for 1 year. I cooked all my meals, washed all my clothes, you know, showered, had a couple of beers, cut the firewood, kept the fire going, stayed warm, stayed comfortable, read books, played video games because I set it up so I had power. I just had a great time. I just share that with the kids, share that with you kids, and it was great fun. And it is 100%, it's 100% not a problem in the world to live off-grid. I wanted to live off-grid back in the 70s. Before I got married, I used to read the magazines, Grassroots magazine, if you ever want to look it up. It's all about not hippies so much, but people living with the land. It was a great movement back then. But I did realise that you can't do that and have small babies. And if you haven't got a wife that wants to go down that path, you can't do it, you know. you've got to, you can't make your own clothes, you can't process your own food and do all that and go to work and have a job. So I couldn't do it back then when I was raising my children, but I did do it for a year, probably 2 years on and off, 1 year full time, and it was fantastic for a single person. Laying in your bed, you know, going to sleep, or in the morning before you get up. But some of the thoughts that go through your head is this: what happens if I die? What happens if I die in my hut up here? I'm going to be a bit smelly by the time someone realises they haven't heard from me for a week. I'm going to be a bit of a mess for someone to clean up. So it's thoughts like that. And you think, oh, well, if I get sick, I'll go to the old folks home. Everybody thinks they're going to get sick and go to the old folks home eventually and die. But a lot of people just die, go to bed and don't wake up. And you do think to yourself like that. The other thought, of course, was if I go climbing up a ladder and I fall off. If I fall over and hit my head on a rock or a stick or a star picket or something like that, and I'm dead, I'm up there on my own if I haven't got the ability to make a phone call or press an EPIRB, which I carried with me sometimes but not as often as I should. The whole point is you can't go through life not doing things because of what might happen and what might go wrong. You've just got to go ahead and do it, because one thing is certain: you are going to die. That's certain. You are going to die. That's what you do in between. And you haven't got a date of when you're going to die. So you've got to get into it and do what you want to do, because you only get one go. And that's what I'm doing here now. I'm at the age of 67. I'm trying to learn how to present to a camera, how to present to a video by practice.